become a training camp tradition, it feels like, hanging out with our guy, Dave Ziegler. And Dave, first off, thank you for carving out some time with us, leading into a very exciting couple days for the old silver and black. But let's just start here. We're on the practice field, 15, 20 minutes ago. Really nice day for Jimmy. I'm just kind of curious for you and the staff, how hard is it to live in that land of being in the middle, right? When you see these great days that Jimmy has and days that people say, hey, maybe not as sharp as you like, how hard is it to kind of stay in the middle and kind of not get too up or too down based on his performance?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think we knew going into it there was going to be those days, and I've seen it a lot over the course of my time in the league. When you have guys coming back off different injuries, there's going to be a progression that you just have to ride the wave with and stay in the moment and understand that that's just a part of the process. And, that's what we've done here with Jimmy and any other player that we've had that, is coming off an injury. That's just something that we talk about, we expect. And like I said, you just ride the wave.
Very excited starting tomorrow. The Niners are in town for this fan base for obvious reasons. Very exciting. Let's call it 96 hours with the game on Sunday. But for you and the staff, like collectively, what do you want to take out of the next two practice days?
Yeah, well, it's the level of competition does ramp up. It's natural. And so there is the one thing I want to see is just how different players respond to that competition, especially some of the guys that we haven't had here in the past, free agents, the rookies, because it is a new level of intensity. And so you want to see them match that and see them to be able to maintain their level of production with that. And I think along with that, the thing that's nice about these situations is, you get to see your guys going against different players and it's different matchups. You come it comes very monotonous in a way of, it's the same guys going against the same player on the other side. So just to see a diversification of skill set that they have to compete against, how do they respond to that, along with different schemes, different coverages and things like that we haven't obviously prepared for because it's not our exact system. So there's a lot to take out of these joint practices, and we're excited about it. That's why we do it.
Does it provide you and your crew also a chance to kind of get a look at other players that aren't necessarily here in this building over 2 days?
100%. We get to see up close and personal the guys on the 90-man roster for the 49ers, and we get to see and evaluate them in real time, and all the things that I talked about that we're looking for, we get to see it on another group of players. So it definitely helps us, gives us a leg up on the preseason process, and gets us in a position to probably have a cleaner evaluation of those guys.
The joint practices have become, in the best possible way, very in vogue, right? You see a lot of teams around the league doing it for obvious reasons. You guys doing it twice, right? We're going to do it with the Niners, and then next week go down to LA and do it with the Rams. So what's the benefit of having two different sessions here and then obviously back in California?
Yeah, I think, it goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning. Now we're going to travel next week. We're going to go to LA. And I think there's that aspect too. We're going to go travel. So we're going to get an opportunity for our team to adjust to a different environment, adjust to a new routine, just like you have to do when you go on the road and play a game. How do you manage that? And that's something I think the players have to take themselves through. And then it's another system. It's another scheme that you get to adapt to. And a lot of times in the preseason, if you don't do that, you just see your scheme. You can run off cards and do those types of things, but that's different than actually seeing another group, run a different scheme, and you have to make sure your communication is on point because you're seeing something new and all of those different things. So for us, it's a really big advantage, and we get to do it with two good staffs. Do you know what I mean? With Sean and Les and what they've built in, with the Rams and Kyle and John, two different groups that we have a lot of respect for, and so that makes it, I think that makes a productive environment when you're getting into these situations.
Without getting too into the nitty-gritty of it all, like what does that pre-process look like? You talk about you and the respective staffs and kind of setting an expectation of, hey, this is the work we want to get done, and just making sure that everyone's doing it obviously in the right spirit, but making sure that both teams are going to get their work in.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we evaluate when we start thinking about, okay, who are we going to be playing in the preseason? Is this someone that we'd want to do joint practices with? Is this, someone we can be productive with? And it's having some of those conversations with those individuals going back into the spring to make sure that we're on the same page and that it's a puzzle that fits together for a productive environment.
Yeah, and I think, when you have that production, right, you see guys hopefully take that next step, and one of those guys that we all hope to see take that next step, the fans very much so, is Aidan O'Connell, right? Anytime you have a rookie quarterback, there's a lot of chatter. People are excited to see what this kid could do. Still so early in the process. I think that's the important thing to emphasize. So early. But what have your kind of initial impressions been of Aidan?
He's done a really good job with, I'd say, the hardest part of the game when you're playing quarterback is, what happens from the neck up. there's a lot of processing, there's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of problem solving that takes place when you're a quarterback in the NFL. And so he's done a really good job of growing in that area. And that's the hardest area to grow in. Everybody typically at this level has the arm talent and has a skill set, or they wouldn't be in the NFL. Where a lot of guys struggle is that neck up piece, that processing, that problem solving, that ability to learn. And that's what we've really been excited on in his development there, along with the physical stuff on the field. You know, he's been able to make some of the NFL throws that you have to make, which are the tough ones, the deep out route and things of that nature. So we've seen that growth. And like you said, now once we get into some more competitive environments, the lights come on, we're going to play a game on Sunday. Can you maintain that? Because I've seen it various times where we've been very excited about different players. Those lights go on and you start to see a change in guys. So that's something that we'll look for, not just in him, but for all of our rookies. But he's made a lot of positive steps and it's been encouraging.
Do you see the opposite of that where you say, hey, you know, sometimes you see the lights go on and guys maybe aren't built for it, but then you see a different situation where, hey, the light go on and hey, where's this been for the past few weeks, man?
Yeah, we see that. That's always the frustrating one. Yeah. It's like, why can't you do this, Monday through Friday or Saturday during the year? But on Sunday, those guys turn up and they're able to be productive. And hey, if you're going to be productive at a certain time, we hope it's on Sundays.
Does that make your guys evaluate, like on a serious note, like a little bit harder if you see like, okay, what we're seeing in the game isn't maybe what we haven't seen in practice?
Yeah, and there's a level of, there's a natural level of frustration that grows with that because why can't we do it, consistently during the week? And then you got to problem solve that as a coaching staff and as an organization to see if you can, supply that player with the tools to improve in that area to make it more consistent.
We talked about Aidan and everything that he's done from the neck up, but you look at this rookie class kind of in totality. A lot of guys that the fans have been really excited about on social media. Trey Tucker had a really nice camp. Ja'Corian Bennett, another dude that has really kind of put himself in a position to see some time. Michael Mayer too. Like just I don't want to have you go down the list, but overall in a general sense, how have you felt about the rookie draft class?
Yeah, we've been encouraged. They've done a nice job of getting off to a fast start, and we've talked a lot about them about competitive stamina. And can you keep that level of competitiveness, that level of preparation through this long training camp, through a preseason, into the season where you're playing a lot more games than you did at the college level. But the things that tie all those players together that you mentioned is toughness, maturity, and football intelligence. And that's half the battle. And all those guys have showed, in those areas, a very high skill level. And then it's carried out onto the field.
Guys that aren't rookies, but still very young in their career. We look at Britton Brown, Zamir White, two guys that have had a lot more work on their plates the last few weeks. Just kind of how have you seen them adjust to maybe an increased workload? And regardless of what they do in the preseason, like how do you feel that they've kind of progressed through this training camp?
Yeah, they're both of those guys, their level of preparation and just understanding of what it takes to be prepared for a practice, to be prepared to operate in this offense fluidly. They've taken a step just in their preparation and their maturity and understanding what it takes, and then that's come out on the field. And then from a skill set standpoint, Zamir is a guy with a lot of speed and a lot of power. Britton also has good size. He also has some shiftiness, some make-miss ability that we've been able to see. I would say see a little bit more of because they're obviously getting more reps than they typically would.
What's the benefit of having guys like Amir and Brandon Bolden in that room to kind of help through, I don't want to say transition period, but to have them in the room and have those presences right now?
Huge, because those guys have done it for a long time. Brandon's going into his 11th season, and they know what it takes. They know what it takes to last in the league from all aspects. How you take care of your body, how you practice, how you prepare. And those guys are kind of the linchpins that's able to keep that room together and keep everybody focused on what they need to be focused on, which is getting better every day.
Yeah, and Dave, we appreciate you hanging out for a little bit before joint practice start. I want to ask you this on the way out, though, just because I do know that you do have a little feet heat on occasion. Have you run into a player that has more pairs of cleats than Brian Hoyer? Because I feel like every day I go out there, I'm like, oh, it's a new one compared to yesterday.
Yeah, Brian's really, you talk about raising the level. Brian's raised the level not only on that room, but on the offensive side of the ball with, his shoe collection. He comes out and it's a different concept or a different pair almost every day. And he's raising the level of competition when it comes to the shoe game, which I can respect.
Absolutely. And competition, the name of the game, especially in mid-August, right?
That's
We're
right.
competing every single day.
No doubt.
Well, we appreciate you coming to hang out. Best of luck over these next two joint practices, and we'll see you soon, all right?
Thanks. Always enjoy it. Appreciate you.